what are the top three things that you would say that someone needs to know if they are struggling with crippling anxiety?
You can overcome it. Okay. That's like really startling for some people because it's like, wait, what? What do you mean I can control it? But you can. It's a question of taking simple steps. Hello there.
Hello, Stephanie. How are you?
It is lovely to meet you. How are you?
I'm doing really well today. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
I
And
wanted to bring you on because I swear anxiety is like the number one thing that I've met. Every single human being has some sort of anxiety. They cover it in different ways, but they all are, and people are more and more crippled, I feel like, with anxiety. And so I thought you were super important to bring on.
thank you. And feeling powerless because
Mm,
of it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's have that conversation.
Awesome. Let's do it. Yeah, you wrote the book Goodbye Anxiety, Hello Freedom. And you know what? Freedom speaks to me. I am all about freedom. So, how can what are the top three things that you would say that someone needs to know if they are struggling with crippling anxiety?
You can overcome it. Okay. That's like really startling for some people because it's like, wait, what? What do you mean I can control it? But you can. It's a question of taking simple steps. Simple steps, simple shifts are what create lasting change. When we feel like, oh, it's anxiety, I can't do anything about it, we're giving away our power. And, who wants to do that? None of us, right? So it's like, okay, then there's all this, they say stuff. And I'm kind of an outlier because I'm like, yeah, not so much. Because conventional thinking is, we're going to go talk about it, or we're going to take a pill or a potion or something. And we're all looking for these outside influences as opposed to, oh my gosh, everybody's talking about AI, artificial intelligence these days, right? Everybody's talking about it. Well, they're still not caught up with our brains yet, right? They have not caught up yet to how powerful our brains are. And yet, a lot of people aren't out there talking about, oh, you know what? Here's the key. The key is right here. So you can overcome it, and it doesn't have to be this long, hard slog, like, oh my gosh, I'm pushing a boulder up a hill. I offer 35 techniques in the book. They're all really simple. And your daughter, she's a little too young yet, but you'll be teaching her when she's young, you'll be teaching her some of these skills. Most of the skills in my book are simple enough to teach an 8-year old, a 6-year old, because when we, and this is where, my passion really gets into it, is I never planned on writing a book. No way. I was a celebrity radio DJ. I have the gift of gab. It's not necessarily the gift of the pen. But when so for years and years and years, I was saying we really need to be teaching these skills to kids in school because, Brittany, were you taught any of these skills, emotional skills?
Absolutely not.
Right. A lot of us, and I have no idea your background, but I will say that I was one of the crowd where it was, oh, you want something to cry about? I'll give you
Okay.
something to cry about. Instead of, okay, here's a really simple way for you to calm things down, right? So we take these simple things. So there's 35 techniques in the book. And that's like, oh my gosh, I've got to learn 35 techniques. No, you don't. I literally made this really thin for a reason, because if I hand you a 400-page book on how to calm your anxiety, it's going to make you more anxious. But when there's this real thin book, and oh, it's not even meant to be read cover to cover, that literally the techniques are in alphabetical order. So you can just peruse the table of contents and go, what's this? Let me give it a try. So you take maybe 2, 3 at the most of these techniques, and then you action them and practice again and again and again. So your daughter, who just turned 1, she's not brushing her teeth yet, but you'll remember this when you do start brushing her teeth and teaching her to do this. You're not going to teach her one time and she's going to be brushing her teeth every morning and every night. It's going to take repetition. And that repetition happens in our brains. And that is the missing key. That's the key that most people miss in how do I control this anxiety? It seems like it's out of my control because there's all this chaos going on. But when we learn anything, and you're like your daughter's just said, such a great age for you to really start witnessing this, where, I was witnessing this all in the rearview mirror because I learned this much later, than you are. So when we learn something, there's a group of neurons. We have billions of neurons in our brain. We learn something, there's a whole bunch of neurons that, they fire off. And then when we have that same experience or something similar, again, that same group of neurons comes together and fires off again. Say neurons that fire together, wire together. So that's how we create habits. So we get into sometimes healthy habits, a lot of times not so healthy habits. And then we get those healthy habits and it like feels like I have no control. I can't do it. However, when we start introducing something just a little bit different. I'm not into, okay, we're over here. Now we're going to swing over here because it's always going to bring us back. But when we just shift it a little bit, like, oh, okay, we set off those neurons and then we set them off again and we set them off again. And now we've got new neural pathways that are taking us in the direction of where we want to be instead of staying in those old patterns. So it takes a little bit of work at first, but not a long time, and it's not hard because I know I've earned these, I've earned my gray hair, and few things I can say absolutely I know, but I know. If you do something repeatedly over and over again, it will become a habit. You get to choose. You want to keep doing those same old nasty habits, or you want to start going in the direction of your new neural habits. So, you and I were talking earlier about New Year's resolutions. Yeah, well, everybody makes their New Year's resolutions. And by the third week in January, 93% of people who have made their resolutions, the same ones, by the way, that they've made the past few years, 93% have failed. And now they feel really bad about themselves. Where's the rest of their year going to go? So instead, if we reverse engineer it, whether it's New Year's or whenever, I don't suggest New Year's resolutions because the statistics are not in your favor. However, whenever time during the year when you're like, oh, I want to make a change, I want to make a real change in my life. Oh, let's start with, okay, how do I do that? And talking about it isn't going to change things because with our brains, if we think of our brain in terms of looking at like an iceberg from the side, you see a diagram of an iceberg. The top above the waterline is about 5%. 95% is under the surface. That represents our brain. So that top 5% is our conscious mind. The 95% is our subconscious mind. Albert Einstein said decades ago that a problem can't be solved at the same level of consciousness that created it. What does that mean? It means the problems get created in our conscious mind. And then we go to talk about it with our conscious mind, and we talk about it and talk about it, deepening that neural pathway and wondering why things aren't changing. So when we get into the subconscious mind, it's like in terms of traffic, if you're in bumper to bumper traffic and things are not moving, you're like, you're probably feeling a little anxious. And then you look over there, there's the carpool lane or the HOV lane, and like, that's flying through. That's where I want to get you. Oh, when we tap into when we harness the amazing power of our brain, we're out of that bumper to bumper traffic and we're smooth sailing towards where we really want to go.
Absolutely. That's a good stuff. You were talking about AI, and that's funny. I actually used AI to say, what is the best way to go about your day to live a happy life? Right?
Oh,
And
I
it,
want to hear this.
well, I said, okay, I want research based, like, where's this? What do I do? And it was all meditation, like, taking it slow, being purposeful about. And also there was a study about singing together as a group, that the act, whether you're good at it or not, but singing together as a group is actually healing and meditative, and meditating every day, like self-care, but things that are actually self-care, like, saying no to something, because I'm not going to feel good if I do that. Saying no to
And
different people. Yeah.
no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Well,
That's okay. Stop explaining yourself.
right. I say that, Brittany, because if you notice,
Yeah.
this is totally a generalization, and I know it is not, a hard and true fact, but my experience is, for the most part, the women tend to explain themselves, and guys are not as likely to do that. We say, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I can't because but no, I'm sorry, I'm not available."
Mhm.
What a difference. And
Yeah.
that is so much more empowering to me, right? So I love everybody talking about this AI, this artificial intelligence. And it's great if you use it as a research tool, if you use it to help you, not to cede your authority to someone else. Because again, that's not empowering. And it's certainly, if I literally hand wrote my book, all right, because that's, I'm old school, but also I saw an article just recently in this past week that I'm excited for your daughter, who is not at school age yet, but when she gets there, they're talking about bringing cursive writing back into the elementary schools. And I'm thrilled by that because, again, by doing that, it's creating neural pathways in our brain. And ooh, we've all been so excited about getting our kids on the screens and letting that go by the wayside. And it's like, okay, we're missing a really important feature of how we build our our future's brains, right? So just letting your kids tap away on their keyboards all the time, it's not avoidable anymore, but it's also not the healthiest, right? So I hand wrote my book. It's coming straight from my heart and my brain, my lived experience. I have a feeling that if I put into AI and I said, "Oh, here's the title of a book, Goodbye Anxiety, Hello Freedom," come up with 35 techniques, I think it would be a very different book.
Mhm.
Not saying it's better or worse, but it would just be a different book. And so if I did that, I would be ceding my authority, my power, right? And it's not that I'm trying to prove, empowerment or authority. It's, oh my gosh, I know the easy route. Let me take you there. Like, let me help you guide there, because we were talking about, you're in Washington State. I was in outside Portland, Oregon in the 90s, which really began this whole journey of why I do what I do and why I ended up writing the book, because I was a celebrity DJ for my first career. I had so much fun. Stevie Knox on the radio, and I loved it. However, my last job on the radio was in Portland doing the morning show. And to tell you how long ago this was, my kids are in their 30s now. And so this was back when my youngest was still in diapers. So I'm a young mom with two young kids, one still in diapers, husband who traveled, and I was getting up at 3 in the morning to do my radio show. Yeah. No surprise, I developed insomnia, and it was debilitating. Anybody who's ever experienced insomnia, I said that word and a shiver went through their spine because it is absolutely horrible. So I went to the doctor, got medication, and oh, by the way, the doctor said, "Well, you know that you're having insomnia because of your anxiety." I was like, "What?" I did not know for the first half of my life that I struggled with anxiety. I didn't know it. I thought it was normal to walk around with my shoulders up like earrings, right? Like I thought it was always worrying about the worst thing. I thought that was normal. So the doctor gives me medication. It helped. I was able to start sleeping, but it only worked for a short time. And then I spiraled even worse of, oh my gosh, what if I take the medication and it doesn't work? And I happen to, like, in coincidence, parentheses around it, scare quotes or whatever, happen to be on a teleclass. This is back, long before your time, Brittany, when I was on a phone with a curly cord. The phone was actually bolted to the wall, right? So I was on a teleclass, which was cutting edge technology back in the 90s. And Gary Craig, this real brainiac Stanford engineer, is talking about emotional freedom techniques, this tapping technique that's like acupuncture that you do on yourself. I was like, I had nothing to lose. Let me give it a try. And I was able to start sleeping again. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm able to start calming my anxiety. So that job ended. Now I'm a stay at home mom who knows how to sleep again. That's pretty great, right? Oh, I'm learning how to calm my anxiety. And I'm trying to tell anyone and everyone, and I'm watching their eyes glaze over like, okay, what's in that coffee cup? Is it really coffee? I'm not sure about that. I didn't care because I was like, oh my gosh, this has really changed my life. And so that started me on this down this rabbit hole of, huh, okay, there's ways that I can impact. I can impact how I feel, how I create my life. Let me see what else is available. So I really love tapping EFT. And there's so much more, which is why I call myself an integrative hypnotist. When I heard the whisper to look into hypnosis, whoa, the first day of my training, I was blown away because it was like the skies opened up, the choirs were singing. Oh my gosh, change can be this easy. Like I found the holy grail. And so, okay, great. Now I'm talking to people about hypnosis. I'm watching a lot of eyes glaze over again because now it's like Tom, a local guy who I used to see at every networking meeting I'd go to. I'd walk in and he'd say, watch out, she's going to make you bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken. And I realize in hindsight that he was just scared because he didn't understand about it. And I guess I wasn't doing a great a job of explaining it back then. He was just scared. And so that's okay. You know, a lot of people like don't understand the power of hypnosis. And it's not that I have any power. I'm not like a scary guy with a swinging pocket watch, right? Or a magic wand. I'm like, ooh, let me introduce you. Let me show you. Let me be your fairy godmother, like from the Wizard of Oz. And like Dorothy, you know, you don't have to click your heels 3 times, but like Dorothy, you have the power, just like she had the power the whole time.
That's so true. You know, so I'm certified sound energy healer.
Ooh, I
And
didn't
so
know that
yeah,
about you. Ooh, I love that,
I have
Brittany.
a beautiful chakra set of crystal bowls. And so I find it interesting because I started studying sound because the government has patents on using sound for doing different things in the government. I'm like, I don't know how anyone feels about that, but I'm like, if they're doing it, there's something to that.
Yeah,
And so yeah, I looked at the hertz tones and I got really into it for a long time. And some people will scoff at it, be like, oh, I'm like, sound actually does quite a lot. There's been so many experiments. And again, the government uses these techniques to do different things. So it's
yeah,
a very powerful thing. There's so many different ones. Releasing your body, getting the energy out. And there's different ways of like I call it dance to, get out anxiety or whatever. But I'd say that pretty much the whole populace has some leveling of anxiety. And I think you're right, what you said, how you didn't even realize that you had anxiety. You thought it was normal. And I guarantee you, so many people listening to this are going through the same thing. Like, wait, I have anxiety? Like, insomnia is attached to that? Like, yeah.
right, right. And anybody who is having that thought process right now, please don't beat yourself up. Please be compassionate with yourself because I know when I learned that, I was like, oh my gosh, I was so judgmental about myself and what's wrong with you. And, now I have a diagnosis. And, you know what? At this state of the chaos in our world these days, 2020, we watched the statistics of people experience anxiety go through the roof worldwide, not just here in the US, but worldwide. And so whether you want to call it anxiety, stress, I'm not into giving it labels and names and stuff. If you're not comfortable and you want to live a better life, I have some great ways to help you. You were just talking about moving your body. In my book, one of the techniques is to shake it off. Just shake it off because Anybody who has animals, I think dogs do this more than cats do, but they get up and they shake their whole body, and literally they're not thinking, oh, I need to reset my nervous system. They're just naturally following, like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. Um, you said you live on a mountain, and I don't live on a mountain, but I've got woods around me. We've got a beautiful reservoir. And so there's lots of wildlife. So a bunny being chased by a coyote, phew, there's that fight or flight, right? It gets to safety and it will shake its entire body to reset the nervous system. So now the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest, digest, and relax nervous system, is taking over control of the sympathetic, which is the stress nervous system. So we can learn so much about nature that, oh, the sounds of being in nature and hearing the birds singing and hearing, we just had a lot of rain here in Connecticut. And so from this reservoir, where our stream behind our house is just, oh, it's such a beautiful sound. Well, that's sound healing to me, right? Hearing the screech of a bald eagle flying over the reservoir, that is a beautiful, healing, calming sound to me. So I'm like, let's look to wherever we can find it, right? It's not about, ooh, I don't know about you, Brittany, but when I was first introduced to meditation, you need to meditate 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes again at night. Well, at that point in my life, there was no way I was taking 20 minutes to do anything for myself, right? I had two small kids. Right? I didn't have 20 minutes for myself. But they've done all these research studies that when you take these short little breaks, whether you want to call these techniques or meditation breaks, it doesn't matter what you call it. But when we connect with ourselves and are able to stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system, when we're able to calm ourselves at various points throughout the day, we can get they can do fMRI scans of our brains and see that we can get similar results to when we take 20 minutes to meditate in the morning and 20 minutes at night. So when you hear that, it's like, oh, okay, I can fit a minute here and a minute there through the day. It's user friendly instead of, oh no, it has to be this way. I am not into black and white. Now that my hair is gray, which happened during COVID, by the way, I see there's so much gray area in our lives. And that's where I want to play and where I want to explore, because, ooh, that's where the fun is. That's where we can really make change.
Absolutely. Do you have some sort of course that you offer or personal sessions that people can get a hold of you?
I do. I work, I work virtually and have since 2015, right? In 2015, I realized I'm only reaching a 25-mile radius of people who will drive to my office. So I literally closed my office to work virtually, around the country and around the world. Only I was only offering one-on-one sessions. Here we are heading into the new year, and I have spent all of today getting ready for a class I'm going to be rolling out in January to give people an opportunity to experience some of this at a really low price and in community. Because you were talking about the research of people being in community with music and sound healing, and there's science behind it, there's brain research behind it, that when we actually tell somebody New Year's resolution, like 93% of people are already failed 3 weeks into it, we can change that simply by telling somebody we're going to do that. That ups our chances of success by 65%, just by telling somebody. You want to take it up even higher, because I'm like, all right, 65%, that's nice, but can we do it even higher? When you commit to someone else, when you have an accountability buddy, 95% chance of success. So I'm crafting this course around being in community. And then during the class, if you want, and it's not going to be a requirement, if you want, finding an accountability buddy, whether it's somebody you bring with you to the class or somebody you find in the class, to have that accountability buddy. Because otherwise, I don't know about you, Brittany, but I might have tons and tons of books on my shelf that, okay, maybe I read them, maybe I didn't get through all of them, and it's turned into shelf help. self-help, right? We buy all these books, we do all these programs, and then we don't do anything with it and wonder why nothing changed. So to get on that list, again, I'm still in the process of working on it now. People can go to the number 5 minutes to calm.com. They'll get 5 of the techniques from my book, and I will make sure that they get the information about the class as well. But I like to be able to give, all right, here, and there's like a whole workbook with it. It's here are 5 of the techniques. Start playing with them and see what happens in your life. Because if you have that accountability, first, you want to make the accountability to yourself. But then when you are accountable to someone else and you're actually doing these techniques, your life will change. And it's not because, oh, I'm such a great writer. It's because I've spent over 20 years researching for myself. Okay, how do I live a better life? How do I get out from these old patterns? Again, I had 30 some years of patterning of anxiety, stress, worry, fear, all of those things that, I don't deal with that anymore, and it's not I've said many times, just because I wrote the book, Goodbye Anxiety, Hello Freedom, doesn't mean I don't experience anxiety. I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression to think, oh, I'm going to read this book and I'm never going to experience anxiety. Unless you lock yourself away in a dark closet, you're going to experience anxiety. It's part of the human condition. But when we know it's going to come up and we can seamlessly, oh, all right, I can move that to the side. That's how we find our emotional freedom.
Mhm. I love that. You are so engaging. You're
Thank you.
you it feels like talking to you like, "Oh, there is a way. There is hope. I can, actually find some freedom and feel better."
Thank you. Because you know what? You just made my whole day, my whole month, my whole new year, because that's what I strive for. I really strive not to sub myself out as, well, I'm the expert. Listen to me. It's like, okay, you know what? I've been there and I found the secret passage. Want to come with me? That's pretty simple.
I don't think that people are looking for gurus anymore or someone to lead them. I think that we are looking for people that are on our level and just saying, "Hey, you know what? I just want to help you too because I was there."
Yeah.
I think that's way better than "I know everything. I shall come down from the mountain and bestow
Well,
it."
and how empowered do you feel when you're entrusting someone else to help to give you the answers? I don't give you the answers. I help you find the answers, because for each person, and over 20 years, I've worked with a few people, like several thousand, right? So it's not me saying, oh, I have the answers and here's this one size fits all approach. One size doesn't fit all. Oh, let's explore what's going to work best for you. That's the key to freedom. I had a client from 2011 just come back recently. So, a long time ago, right? She said, oh, I don't know if you remember me. And oh my gosh, of course I remembered her. This woman had come to me. She was diagnosed, she had a brain tumor. And in order to deal with the surgery, they were making a mask, like a fencing mask of her face, and they were going to bolt her to the operating table so that she could not move her head because she had to be awake during this surgery. I was like, okay, I can't make any promises, but all right. She was successfully able to calmly go through this surgery while she's completely awake, having them go into her brain, and she was completely calm. I've wondered about her over the years. And then I get an email from her a couple of weeks ago saying, I don't know if you remember me. And now she wants to work on something else. But it was like, how do I find, okay, I don't have hypnosis scripts. There's a lot of them out there on the internet if you want to find them, but I don't believe in a one size fits all approach. I don't think if I had looked on Google and said, find me a hypnosis script for being bolted to the operating table, right? I somehow don't think I would have found a script for that, but I was able to help her find what was inside her magic key. And so when she has this other challenge, it was like, oh, of course I came back to you, right? So that's like so exciting to me, because it works, right? And I shared with her this story of another person who came back, a 23-year-old who said, I don't know if you remember working with me when I was 13. You helped me get over my fear of flying. And sadly, I didn't remember her. But we got to this certain point, and she says, oh, yeah, I still have the stone you gave me from my very first visit 10 years ago. So it's not like, oh, okay, it was because I'm so great. It was she found the key to her power at 13 years old. Can you imagine learning these things when you're like 13 years old, how it changes the whole trajectory of your life? That's why talking about how, I'm like, all right, going back to closing the loop of me saying how we need to be teaching this to kids in the schools. I have an initiative. I didn't never wrote the book thinking, oh, I'm going to be a best-selling author and I'm going to make $1 million. I just wrote the book because people need it. You buy a copy of the book, I donate a copy to a school or organization that will help teach these skills to kids, teens, and young adults, because they're the ones that had the worst detrimental effects from COVID and everything's happened since then. And, some people might find that, controversial, and, that's okay. It's my opinion, but this is how I can make a difference in the world, is by helping future generations to not be carrying our generational trauma into the future. I'll get off my
Absolutely.
soapbox now.
I love it. No, that's exactly right. That's why I'm like, kids need to know that they can handle whatever comes at them, and that they, can find the tools if they don't currently have them, and that there are adults that are there that want good for them, not just like, shut up, I don't want to deal with your emotions.
Yeah. And just to young moms, wink, wink. When you start playing with these techniques, your daughter's young enough that you might not be there yet, but for people who have slightly older kids, the first thing when I would learn something new, I'd want to go teach my kids. What is best, a more healthy approach for both mom and kids, is for mama to get those techniques into her neural pathways, and then she can go teach the kids, because anxious kids have anxious moms. And again, some people are like, well, I'm going to challenge you on that. That's okay. It's my opinion. But I know, I jokingly, I don't say jokingly anymore. I used to joke saying, well, I contracted anxiety in the womb. You know what? It was a joke back then until I learned the
That's
neurological, like, okay, yeah, there's research to it that, oh, all those anxious hormones, they're going through the placenta, right? They're going right into that baby. And, oh, do you think I passed it to my kids? Yeah, I did. And my son, who called me, and he might still call me the woo-woo crackpot, came home from college one time and he was like, did you start smoking weed? I laughed and I said, no. He could tell, he could see the difference. It wasn't about me telling him, oh, I've changed. He could tell, he could see the difference in me. So again, parents, moms or dads listening, learn some of these techniques. Download the 5 for free. Please download that, get it into your repertoire, and then go teach others. But put your oxygen mask on first.
That is great advice. That one of the biggest things that I talk about is that kids were not going to learn because you constantly say it. They're going to learn by exactly what you do. They're
Yep,
watching you, and that is how you're teaching them. So you have to get yourself right.
exactly. You are very, very wise there, my friend.
Are you on social medias where you
I
post
I am
things?
I am mostly on LinkedIn, and I
Okay.
am getting myself back onto Instagram because that's really, I need to be there again. So join me there. I haven't been like really active, but I am committed in 2024. That is one of my goals. Notice I'm not saying it's one of my New Year's resolutions. One of my goals for 2024 is to really get more active on Instagram because I don't think I know I can have a bigger impact in the world. And when it comes down to it, I think that's what we're looking for is how do we make an impact in the world?
Yes. How do we take what we know and impact other people and help them along their journey? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And wow, what a Pollyanna attitude. But boy, if more of us would be like that, we could change the world.
Yes. Yes. It doesn't honestly take, like you're talking about with anxiety, it's these small shifts that we make. It's really not as big as we make it as overwhelming in our minds. It's actually
Well,
much smaller.
yeah, and that's easy for you and I to say when we're in a calm state, having a really nice conversation like this. When the is hitting the fan, it's hard to remember that. But if there was one takeaway for somebody listening to this conversation, it would be take the first step. Just find one change, one small change, and start actioning that. And when you do, your life will change.
Mm, beautiful. You are such a beautiful spirit. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this with everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. I love having this conversation. You're so fun.
That's awesome. So, well, I'm excited. Well, tomorrow's a big day for us. And so you're gonna have a little thing too. And like, it's awesome.
Yeah. So we're recording this for people who are like, what are you talking about? We're recording this the day before the winter solstice, which is your precious, precious birthday. Happy birthday, mama, and happy birthday to your daughter. So you're having it sounds like a fabulous celebration. And if I was within driving distance, I would love to come over. My husband and I, are celebrating the fifth anniversary of his second medical miracle. He had a real, like, amazing medical miracle 20 years ago with a life saving liver transplant, where he was not the designated recipient. He was the backup. So, like, one of his doctors said, I can't believe it. I never expected he was going to get the transplant. So, we're so filled with gratitude for that. 2018, he was dealt a fatal cancer diagnosis. You're going to be dead in 2 years. And he joined with me and was like, okay, what have you got? And we did some non-traditional things. And tomorrow will be his fifth anniversary of the confirmation for us. They did not say, and they will not say, that he is cancer free, but he's alive and he has no cancer. So we have a lot to celebrate.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you know what? I hope the best for you in your new course that you're developing. That's amazing. I think everyone should jump on that. So I will have any links that I find in the description box below for everyone to be able to, because everyone should have freedom from anxiety.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, Brittany. You are a breath of fresh air and a beautiful light. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
This was so much fun, Brittany. What a great, I love connecting with you. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you so much. The Zarlequan Indieverse.